This here is going to be Morimoto's XRGB LED headlights for the 21 and up Bronco. They obviously perform just like Morimoto says they do, puts out a ton more light than the stock lights do. Overall, I think this is definitely the go-to headlight for you Bronco owners out there. What's going on, Team Lethal fans? It's Joe here with Lethal Performance. Today, we've got another package from our friends over at Morimoto, and once again, it's going to be for the 21 and up Bronco owners. This here is going to be Morimoto's XRGB LED headlights for the 21 and up Broncos. Now, as you guys know, we did do a video on Morimoto's XB series LED headlights for the Broncos, but we also mentioned an RGB capable version, and this right here is them. So let's go ahead and break open the box and show you guys what we're gonna be working with today. Now, like I mentioned previously in the last video, we went over Morimoto's XB LED headlights for the Bronco, which have a more unique styling to them compared to these. However, these definitely have a more OEM-like style, but with that RGB function and of course a lot more light output. These utilize bi-LED projectors to boost the light output 150% over those stock LEDs in low beam mode, and then in high beam, you're looking at an 86% increase in that light output. The biggest feature on these headlights, of course, is that RGB DRL or daytime running light, which is completely customizable through Morimoto's easy-to-use Bluetooth app available for both the Android and iPhones. Now, even though these headlights put out a ton more light than your stock headlights do, they are still DOT and SAE compliant for on-road use. However, you do want to make sure to check with your local ordinances to make sure that the DRL color you choose is legal for on-road use. As for example, down here in Florida, if you were to run those DRLs with a red or blue color while you're driving the truck, unfortunately, due to some Florida statutes, that is illegal, and you're gonna have a nice conversation with some law enforcement officers. Now, just like the last version of Morimoto's headlights, these are also backed by Morimoto's 5-year manufacturer's warranty in case there's any issues down the road with these headlights. Now, as you'd expect from one of Morimoto's products, these come out of the box ready to install with plug and play connectors located on the back of the headlights here that will plug directly into the stock harness that's on the truck. So now that I've given you guys a proper overview on these headlights here, let's go ahead and get them outside and installed on the Bronco. So now that we're out here with our Bronco, we can go ahead and get started with the disassembly of the front end here so we can get out the stock headlights. Now, if you guys saw the last video, you know that we're gonna need a TP40 or a Torx Plus 40 bit. We're also going to need a 10mm socket, as well as an 8mm socket and a push pin removal tool. Now, you're only gonna need that TP40 bit if you have this factory bull bar here installed on your bumper. If you don't have that, no worries, you do not need that TP40 bit. But on this truck, to get started, we're gonna go ahead and remove this bull bar using that bit. Now the next thing is going to be removing these push pins here that hold on this radiator shroud cover. This thing just slides out underneath the snorkel here. You do have to pull the snorkel just a little bit. Now with the radiator shroud aside, we can go ahead and access these 4 10mm bolts that hold on the top half of this grill. Before you remove the grill, it is important to disconnect this harness here for the camera on the grill, as well as the hose here for the washer fluid hose that goes up to the camera as well. Now, just by pulling on the corners here, you should be able to pop the grill out of its place. Oh, and there she goes. Now the next trim piece here that we're gonna remove is this one here. However, before we start pulling back on this, we have to pop this fender flare off just on the first tab here. So I'll go ahead and turn this knob and then pop it right out of place there, and that gives us just enough clearance here to get this trim piece out without scratching either the fender flare or the actual trim piece itself. Same thing with the other side here. Pop that. Then we can just go ahead and pull the rest of the trim piece off and set it somewhere safe. Now we can go ahead and remove the stock headlight, which is held in by 3 bolts and a push pin with that last bolt on the top here. Now, you do want to make sure you keep track of which bolt went into which hole. However, Ford does a really good job of it here by making this one an 8mm bolt, a 10mm silver bolt, and then a 10mm black bolt here. So just remember, the black one went at the very top here, the silver one went on this one here near the grill, and then this 8mm one went on the bottom. So now that we have the 3 bolts out as well as the push pin here, we can go ahead and pull the headlight out of the truck. Now it is important to note that there is a pin here that essentially hooks in to a little spot in the grill of this truck here, which is going to put up a little bit of a fight when you go to pull it out. So just be careful that you are gonna have to pull a little bit harder on this corner here, especially if this is your first time taking these headlights out. It is gonna be a little bit stuck in there, but don't be afraid. That pin is definitely going to be a bit sticky if it doesn't wanna come out immediately. Okay, we can just unplug it and put it aside. So now we can go ahead and install the Morimoto lights here. We'll go ahead and start with plugging them in. Clicks in, you hear the click, and pop it back into its place. Hear it click into that pin there. Look at that, lines up perfectly. All right, let's get some hardware in there. Remember, the black goes up at the top here. Silver 10 goes near the grill, and the silver 8 goes at the very bottom. We are going to finish tightening these by hand because it is going into plastic, but just to get the threads in there, it's nice and easy to use this impact. Go ahead and reinstall this push pin. Nice. So now with the Morimoto units in, it's just a matter of reassembly. Now we got the Bronco all back together here, we can go ahead and do the last step, which is adjusting the headlights. Morimoto makes it super easy here with an Allen key right in the backside of the headlight here with the hood open. All you have to do is just follow their instructions to a T, which is basically pull up to a wall about 25 feet away and then just look at the beam and try to even it out. You also want to try to get it to a height that isn't blinding other drivers as you're oncoming, but that's something that you're going to have to adjust a little bit later as it comes darker at night. It's a little bit of a difficult thing to adjust in the daytime, but before you take it on the road, you definitely want to make sure that the headlights are adjusted correctly. Now you may notice that we don't have the bull bar installed. However, that's simply for an aesthetics thing. We just decided to keep it off. It has nothing to do with the Morimoto headlights, and it would work perfectly if installed, or as you can see here, without the bull bar. Personally, I think without the bull bar, I think the truck looks a little bit better. I don't know, you tell me. So now that we've got the headlights all installed and aimed correctly, we can go ahead and start messing around with that RGB lighting. Now Morimoto, like I said previously, makes it super easy to do. All you have to do is download their app on the App Store or the Google Play Store that's called Happy Lighting. Now once you see the Happy Lighting like I have set up here, it pretty much automatically connects to the Bluetooth of the headlights, and right from the start you can go ahead and start changing colors. We have them preset right now to amber, but we can go ahead, we can make them green, changes almost instantly. Let's go ahead and make it blue because, you know, we're working with a blue Bronco here. I think that looks awesome. You know, the ability to do that just on the fly like that is amazing. It works seamlessly. You can actually even change the brightness of them if you want. So that's full brightness there. Wow. Yeah, that pops. We can turn them all the way down. So that's about the lowest brightness there. You can go a little bit lower. I just don't want them to like not be seen. But yeah, that's the lowest brightness there. We're gonna turn them up to the highest brightness because we want to be seen. Yeah. Yeah, that looks amazing. That looks amazing. Now for roadway use, this is technically illegal down here in South Florida, but for like a car show or if you're going off-roading, you're gonna want it to look with that cool blue color. All right, let's go ahead and change it back to the amber here, which is easy enough to do with the scroll wheel. Back to the amber. And that is gonna do it, guys. That was Morimoto's XRGB LED headlights for the 21 and up Ford Broncos. Now, As we talked about in the studio, the install went super smooth, plug and play. It really shouldn't take you guys at home more than 30 minutes to an hour to install, depending on your skill level, but overall, the install couldn't be any easier. The functionality of them is top notch. The Bluetooth connects instantly, the lights change almost instantly when you tap the screen, and overall, we really can't say anything negative about these. They obviously perform just like Morimoto says they do, puts out a ton more light than the stock lights do. Overall, I think this is definitely the go-to headlight for you Bronco owners out there who are looking for something that can show off and on the road, and for those who are looking for something that helps give it that unique look to your build. If you guys have any questions or you're looking to get a set of these headlights for yourself, feel free to click the links in our description, drop a comment below, or reach out with us at 561-753-8105. This has been Joe with Lethal Performance, and I'm out of here. Looks like I have a magnet, I think. Time to go magnet fishing. I don't know why I decided to do that. You know what they say, shortcuts make for long hauls. Nice, super, super, super quick, which honestly, that blew my mind with how quick it actually works and how easily it connected to the headlights. But overall, and they just shut off. They just shut off. Isn't that swell? I had a great cut going there and the headlights shut off. Mi bombo! And the install couldn't have been easier. It was plug and play, just like we mentioned. Okay, I'm gonna kill these headlights. I know it's me, I know it's operator error here, but it's still aggravating as shit. We've got another package here from our friends over at Morimoto.